I have made draft after draft after draft for my wildcard in game week 8, but I think I finally settled on a group of players that I like. Let's see how my team is looking like for FPL game week 8. So let's start with the defense and keeper situation. Now, as you guys can see, I've already made one change from my previous wildcard team that I made. But let's start with the goalkeepers. Nick Pope, listen, like I said before, I want some sort of Newcastle coverage. I don't necessarily want to go with Dan Burn just because Dan Burn's going to play a lot of left back. That ruins his DEFCON potential. We know Nick Pope. I think he's the best goalkeeper to own in FPL. I think Nick Pope offers a nice blend between clean sheet points, save points, and obviously we know Nick Pope rates very, very well with the baseline bonus point system. That's why Nick Pope, in my eyes, is the best goalkeeper to own in FPL. Double Arsenal defense, very, very happy to own them. Gabriel, listen, we know the aerial presence he has. We know this season his DEFCON potential has been quite high. I'm not too sure if that will necessarily continue. That's something I'm going to monitor over the next couple of weeks. But listen, Gabriel, Arsenal defense, the best defense in the world. They're going to keep clean sheets. What's not to like? And Timber. In my eyes, Timber probably has the highest upside of any single defender in FPL right now. His expected goal involvement numbers are ridiculous for a right back. And we also saw today, Ben White didn't train with Arsenal. Listen, we already knew Timber was first choice right back for Arsenal comfortably. I think he's a couple levels above Ben White. But the fact that Ben White's out, it ruins, let's say, a potential rotation risk with Timber for that odd game here and there for now. I'm very, very happy owning Timber. And I'm also starting Joe Rodon this week against Burnley away. I looked at Rob T's clean sheet odds for this week. Leeds have a 36% chance of keeping a clean sheet. And when you're comparing it to the other two defenders that I own on the bench, Senesi and Anderson, it is a lot higher than them. And like I said before, I have been very, very impressed with Leeds so far this year. Senesi is the other defender, or let's say the fourth defender that I have. Like I said before, brilliant DEFCON potential. Fixtures, let's say, are not the best in coming weeks, but like I said, we know Senesi can get the odd goal here and there. He can get an assist. He's already got a couple so far this year. And he's playing for a Bournemouth side, which are still one of the better defences in the Premier League if we're looking at expected goals conceded data. Now, this is where I made the change. I've gone from Richards to Anderson. And the reason I've gone with that is I want to show you this screen here when it looks like defender rotations. Realistically, most weeks, the top two defenders are going to be starting for me, which are Timber and Gabriel. Then it's going to be a battle between Senesi, Rodon, and then let's say the fifth defender that I pick, which is either Richards or Anderson. And I feel like when I was going through the weeks where I might need that third defender, when Senesi's fixtures are bad, I feel like Anderson's fixtures are not too bad. For example, in game week 10, I'm going to start my double Arsenal defense against Burnley away. So that's going to be Timber and Gabriel. My third defender, who is it going to be? Senesi has Man City that week. Do I necessarily want to start him? No. Joe Rodon has Brighton. Do I necessarily want to start him? No. And then Anderson has Wolves at home. That is a better fixture in my eyes than Brentford at home. So I'm going to start the Fulham defender over the Crystal Palace defender. And when I'm just picking up 3 defenders every week, or let's say the additional defender, bar obviously my 2 Arsenal defenders, I feel like I'm going to need Joachim Anderson a lot more in coming weeks than I'm going to need Richards. And we know Joachim Anderson probably fares better when we're looking at DEFCON potential. And also during that Christmas period, who's more likely to get rotated? I think the answer to that question is Chris Richards. Plus, obviously, Richards could get that odd benching here and there with obviously Europe with Crystal Palace. I don't have that worry with Joachim Anderson. So I'm going to go with Joachim Anderson. I know, listen, Crystal Palace are the better defence, but I just feel like over the long term, I feel more comfortable in Joachim Anderson's minutes, and he just rotates better with the defenders I have. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully I've justified my decision, and hopefully it pays off. But let's look at the midfield. Now, let's look at the midfield, and I'll be honest, I still haven't made any changes. I'm happy with the 5 that I picked initially. Saka's in, like I said before, the debate is between Saka or Gyökeres. Like I said before, Gyökeres, I'm still a bit unsure on how he's adjusting to the Premier League. Saka, listen, he even got another goal for England. He's just on fire right now. I'm very, very happy owning him. One thing I would say though, I don't necessarily still think Saka's going to be Arsenal's main penalty taker. I still think there's an odd chance that Gyökeres takes it here and there. But for now, listen, it is nice if Saka keeps them, especially because I own him. I know a lot of people, by the way, that wildcarded earlier probably don't have Saka. I'm thinking about that Saka or Gyökeres and Bruno switch to Saka and like a Bowen. I don't think I would necessarily do that and waste 2 transfers for now, because I know that's a big debate in FPL. I still feel like Gyökeres will still get FPL points over the next coming weeks. And listen, if he doesn't, then you could make that switch, but it depends on how you really see Gyökeres settling into the Premier League. Semenyo, like I said before, The fixtures over the next couple games are probably difficult, but at the same time, you could argue they suit Bournemouth, Semenyo's more in terms of explosiveness, getting in behind, causing teams problems. And I'll be honest, the form that he's at right now, he can obviously score or get an assist against any single side in the Premier League. He's just on fire right now. And we trust Iraola enough from an offensive point of view to set Bournemouth off very well. Sarr is the other one. Now, this is probably not the most ideal pick for, let's say, the next 2 game weeks because they have Bournemouth and Arsenal, 2 very, very difficult fixtures when you're looking at defensive data. But I think after game week 10, Crystal Palace's fixtures pick up. And not only that, I don't even think a double up with Sarr and Mateta is bad. Like, I think the only reason I'm slightly against that now is because of Eddie and Nketiah coming back into that, let's say, Crystal Palace setup. He's fit. He's going to take minutes of Mateta. Mateta's been massively underperforming right now. His goal contribution tally that he should have according to expected goal involvement data. That's not going to continue. We know Mateta's still a very good player. So I don't mind a double up on Crystal Palace, by the way. But for now, I'm going to avoid. And then Enzo Fernandez. Like I kept saying at the start of the season, Enzo Fernandez is a very, very good FPL option. And like we said, now in game week 8, he's probably, let's say, the flavour of the week, flavour of the month. Everyone wants to go with Enzo Fernandez, especially with Cole Palmer out. There's a chance that he's going to be on penalties. I'm very, very happy owning him. And then my 5th midfielder, like I said before, is Sean Longstaff. I know a lot of people are going to be like, Sean Longstaff. I know, listen, let me explain. I can't afford Granit Xhaka as my 5th midfielder or Drewsbury Hall. The reason I'm going to go with Sean Longstaff is my plan is to bench boost in game week 9. Game week 9, if we're looking at fixtures between Leeds and Sunderland, who has the better fixture? In my eyes, it is Leeds with Sean Longstaff. That's why I'm going to go with him. Plus, we know the Longstaff is taking set pieces. It's not Starch or Statch, however you say his name from Leeds. It is Sean Longstaff. Also, we know Sean Longstaff has decent ball striking ability. Can he get the odd return here and there? Yes, because he's already done it so far this season against Bournemouth. That's why he's my 5th midfielder. Plus, he's 4.9 million. Who knows when I'm going to need that extra 0.1 million down the line, because my team value is not the greatest compared to a lot of other people. That is my midfield. Let's look at my attack. Now, let's have a look at my attack. And I'll be honest, this is the area of my team that's been giving me the most headache. Let's start with the 2 that I'm probably most happy about, and that is Erling Haaland and João Pedro. Erling Haaland, I don't think I have to say anything. He's going to be my captain for this week against Everton. During the international break for Norway, he got another couple goal contributions. He's just a brilliant FPL asset. The form that he's playing at, it is incredible. Now, João Pedro, I'm probably saying I'm 95% happy with this because obviously we know Chelsea's fixtures over the next couple of weeks are very, very nice. The only thing I would say is I'm not too sure how I feel about having a João Pedro Enzo Fernandez double up. Because I don't think there's... Like, Chelsea are currently 3rd for expected goals, but when I watch Chelsea, I don't look at them and say they're necessarily a free-flowing attack, if that makes sense. Plus, if it was João Pedro and Cole Palmer, I'd probably feel a lot more comfortable because we know Palmer has more ability to be a bit more explosive, to get those bigger returns. Whereas with João Pedro and Enzo Fernandez, I still feel like there's a cap on what they can get. But at the same time, Chelsea's fixtures are there to target. Now, the 3rd option currently is Woltemade. And the reason, first of all, I would want Jarrod Bowen as my 3rd, let's say, forward. I just can't afford him. I'm 0.2 million away, which I can do, but I'll tell you about a bit later. The reason why I'm not necessarily the most confident about Woltemade is, first of all, I feel like he's settling into Newcastle quite nicely. He's obviously got 3 goals in 4 games. But the biggest question mark I have with Woltemade is how explosive can he be? How many times do I see Woltemade getting 2 or 3 returns in a game? Not a lot. I was looking at his data for his previous club and he rarely ever got 2 returns in 1 game, which is obviously, it's not bad because there was a lot of times he did get that single digit return. But how many times is he going to go big for me? Not a lot. Also, I still think there's question marks over how certain his minutes are. Of course, Wiss is out. But do I expect Osulu, I think that's how he's pronounced his name, to get that odd 10 minutes here and there in the Premier League? Yes. Do I expect Anthony Gordon potentially to play up top for certain periods of the games? Yes. That is just something I question with Woltemade. And that's not going to be a question mark for Jarrod Bowen, if that makes sense. We know Bowen is going to get 90 minutes most games. The only way I can get Bowen is, obviously I would have to free up 0.2 million. The only way I can then do that is downgrading Pope to Robert Sanchez, who's currently 4.9. But obviously, the reason why I don't want to do that is I would want Bowen for the next 4 game weeks. After that, I'm not going to say Bowen's going to be an issue because we know he's always going to play 90 minutes. He's never going to be a player that you have to sell straight away. But that's when West Ham's fixtures turn for the worst. I feel like if I get in Bowen, I'm booking in the transfer, if that makes sense, innit? Whereas with this combination, Pope, as I said before, is the best keeper in my eyes to own. Wildcard, Newcastle have a good set of fixtures in the coming weeks, innit? Which is why I'm relatively more happy owning him compared to, let's say, a Sanchez and a Bowen combination. I just don't necessarily feel the most comfortable with that. And like I said before, game week 13, game week 12, during that period, fixtures really change. You probably do want a Liverpool attacker. We're going to need funds. We're going to need transfers. So that's why I don't want to book in any transfers in coming weeks. But that's why I'm going to stick with this combination of 15 players that I have right now in FPL for game week 8. Listen, if you guys like my team, make sure you guys like the video, comment your thoughts on my team. If there's any changes you would make, if there's any way that I can maybe get Jarrod Bowen in, tell me if there's any other combinations. But make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell.